Each gamer has its own wish list, a list of games that he dreams of having, that he dreams of playing. And today I'd like to show you a game which for many years was my absolute number one on my wish list. Hello, this is Michel Sorbet and this is a new episode of Wojennik TV. Today I'd like to open with you the box of one of the games that I have dreamt of having. For many years this game was my top priority on my wishlist on Board Game Geek, and recently I managed to acquire a copy in a good condition. Because this is a game which was first published in 1983. It is almost 30 years old. This game is Ambush. Ambush was published by Victory Games and its designers were John Butterfield and Eric Smith. This is a solitaire war game for players aged 12 or higher and with a time of play of 3 to 4 hours. This is a game which enables us to become leaders of a squad in France 1944. This is a game which very often is cited as one of the top as the most interesting, most entertaining solitaire war games ever published. And this is a game which I really wanted to try. It's not easy to find a copy which is in good condition and at a reasonable price, but I finally managed to acquire one. And furthermore, it arrived to me from France. So with also an additional set of rules in French. Today I'd like to show you how the game looks and to browse through those old components, so this will be a travel in time. Let's now check how the elements of Ambush 1983 look. Here is the box of the legendary solitaire war game Ambush. As you can see, this is a used copy of the game, which now has almost 30 years old. So as you can see, the box cover is quite used, but the box is in a quite good condition, although we instantly see that this is a game coming from another age. Now the box cover, as you can see, depicting an American jeep with soldiers with an explosion somewhere. Well, this box cover almost instantly makes us think of solitaire gaming, of war games during the 80s, because this is such a classic. Most wargamers know this game. Most wargamers who started to play in the 80s have this game in their collection and they love it. On the back side of this game we do have a description, so we can read about what the game is about. We have an information that it is a game in which we will find 8 missions, with also a generation system which will enable us to create our own squad of soldiers, which also, as you can see, was rated at a medium complex game with a very high solitaire suitability, because of course this is a solitaire game. The time of play will be from 3 to 4 hours per mission. The unit scale will be individual soldiers or vehicles. The map scale is 10 yards per hex and the time scale is simultaneous relative time. Then we have also a description of the contents. We can also take a brief look at some of the counters and a small part of the map. Now this is also an edition which, as you can see, has a French sticker traduit en français par Jeux Actuels, which means that this is a copy. Inside I will find also French rules, and this is one of the reasons, apart from the good quality, from the good state in which this game was, that incited me to acquire it. Because, as you all know, I am half French. I'm a proud French, and I also like games in which we do have this addition. Although I believe I will read the English rules, but the addition of the French ones is always a nice thing. Now those are the French rules. As you can see, they were translated. We have the introduction, we have all the other rules, and as you can see, the copyright is Jeux Actuels. This is a translation which I believe was printed somewhere in the 80s, because instantly looking at it, I almost instantly think of some documents that I used to have in the late 80s when I started using computers. I had a ZX Spectrum, then I bought an Amiga, and this is just how some documents were printed at that time. So this is really a time travel for me, a nice addition. As I said, we have the complete translation of the French rules, of the English rules to French, and also we have the paragraphs. All those were translated, so this was really a huge work, because when it comes to the paragraph, this is a game in which we will be having not only the rule book, but also a dedicated paragraph booklet, inside which we will have, as you can see, numbered paragraphs which will be randomly chosen, randomly generated during the game. And when such a paragraph will be generated, we will be using this booklet in order to see what is the outcome of our actions or what is the reaction of our opponents. The rules in English are, as you can see, printed in a rule book of a standard size, which is comparable to the box shapes. Those rules are printed on a high quality paper. I'd say it's a nice quality. We have in general black and white colors, but we have also some blue ones which add a little bit of colors to this booklet. This booklet is quite long. We do have 38 pages in it, with the rules, then also with the description of the missions which are inside. We have, of course, an introduction. We have a description of the elements. We have also the description of how to complete our squad record. So we have an example how we can do this. Then we have also information about how to generate our squad, what is the course of play, how the action rounds look like, how movement is resolved, with some examples. We have information governing line of sight, etc. So a lot of information, all that we will be needing in order to play this game. At the end, also a vehicle summary. Then something which is quite unique, something which is a very original mechanic, which is one of the many innovations done by John Butterfield during his designing career. This is the mission cartridge view sleeve, because as I said a few moments ago, we will be generating random paragraphs during the game, but those paragraphs will not be that random in 100%. We will have a certain number of paragraphs from which we will be choosing them, and each mission, when played, will have their own mission sheet. And this sheet, as you can see, has different information on it. For instance, we have results which will end with a non-result. We have results with numbers which will link us, which will guide us to the corresponding paragraph in the paragraph booklet. And those sheets will be placed inside the mission cartridge, and then during the game, when we will be asked in order to generate a number, we will place this sheet in the corresponding position, for instance M13, and we will search for the corresponding result. So this is very interesting, this is very original, and using this cartridge will require us to use all those mission sheets. As you can see, we have a huge number of them. They are double-sided, so really a lot of them, and those sheets are the reason why the box of this game is really quite heavy, because those sheets are quite sturdy, as you can see, with a lot of numbers, with a lot of results. And this is something which makes this game stand out, which makes it quite unique. Of course, this game was designed in the early 80s when computers did exist, but they weren't used as frequently as now. They weren't as common. We didn't have cellular phones enabling us to use apps. There weren't any games which used apps, of course, at that time. So generating random things, random events required some brilliant ideas, and Butterfield invented this. So this is very, very interesting. Then we have player aid, on which we will find information concerning the squad generation, concerning movement, costs, fire combat modifiers. We have also a huge table concerning the weapon types, the equipment types, the assault table, and inside we have also the accident table. So this is a player aid screen, as you can see. Then another interesting addition. This is what was originally in the box of the game. Take a look. This is a leaflet from Avalon Hill, as I suppose, the Avalon Hill Game Company. And as you can see, this is an order form on which it was possible to place an order. So this is really a blast from the past, as you can see. Elite Club, the Avalon Hill Game Company, Hartford Road, Baltimore, Maryland. Yes, well, this is really a travel to the past. Then we have the squad record sheet, and we have several of them because, as you can see, we have a whole bunch of them. They will be used when creating our own squad. They will be used in order to track both the weapons carried by different squad members, the ammo possessed by them, sightings, conditions, etc. This sheet can be also downloaded. We can also copy it so that not to use those original ones. The game boards. We have two maps in the game. They are paper maps. As you can see, they are from the 80s. It's just that. They represent, as you can see here, some terrain with a railroad, with some roads, with a river, with some buildings, both stone and wooden. And we have also an action round track, the German action number track. Those are not very big maps, as you can see, so this game will not take a lot of place compared to other games published nowadays. The second map is similar to the first one, although it will represent different terrain features. As you can see, we have more woods here. Only two buildings on the entire map. One of them will be a wooden building. The second one is a bigger or larger stone building. But apart from that, we have clear terrain. We have some woods. We have also some crests. So it will all depend on the scenario played, which map to use. As you can see, both maps have an hexagonal grid. They have also small black dots in the middle of the hexes. Those dots will be useful when determining line of sight. Each unit which will be present in the game and which will be our opponent will have also its dedicated unit sheet. As you can see, we have a bunch of them. And each of them represents a different soldier. So we have, for instance, a sheet dedicated to a veteran infantryman. We have a sheet dedicated to a simple soldier, to an aide-de-camp, to a veteran NCO, a panzer grenadier, etc. Each of them will have its own unique information concerning, for instance, the weapons carried or the information to which paragraph we should refer when activating such a unit. So as you can see, a lot of them they weren't even cut, so they are original. Then we have the paragraph booklet, which I have already shown you, but in the French version, this is the original English version. As you can see, it has tons of paragraphs, 1000 paragraphs to be precise. Each of them can be accessed when generated in order to see what happened during our encounter with some German troops, or how they behave, or what we have found, what events happened, etc. So those will be used when we generate the corresponding number. And finally, the counters. We have two counter sheets. As you can see, the first one did have a lot of playing pieces. Some of them were indeed separated from the counter sheet by the previous owner of the game, but most of the counters are still there on the counter sheets. The first one had primarily playing pieces, the American forces, which include infantrymen, some parachutes, some weapons, etc. Here we have the German troops with also some weapons as the Luger, as the machine guns. We have also some additional counters, for instance a killed in action counter. We have wounded counters. On the second counter sheet, which has 88 playing pieces, because they are bigger than the first ones, we have some counters with minefields, as I suppose, with some vehicles. We have a staff car, we have a jeep, we have a Sherman, a Jagdpanther, we have even a V2 rocket, so a lot of things is available on those counters. They are of course double-sided. As you can see, here is the second side. Those counters, even though they have almost 30 years, are quite pretty. Not a lot of information on them, so I believe they will be very useful during the game. And that's it when it comes to the components of Ambush. Now, this is all when it comes to all the elements which are inside the box, but I'd like to invite you now to a very brief conclusion. I'd like to share with you my initial thoughts. Dreams and desires exist to make our life more interesting and better. And sometimes we just should make them real. This is exactly what I did with Ambush. The game was for many years my top priority, and I really wanted to have it. I really wanted to play it. I have read, I have heard so many good things about it that I wanted to try the game myself. I wanted to see if this is my holy grail in wargaming. I'm eager to play my first game and to test it, to verify if all those dreams, all those desires were actually something which were worth to be fulfilled. Ambush is a game which is almost 30 years old, but still it is one of the war games in the top 100 on the Board Game Geek rating. So this is a game which, even though is one of the oldies in our hobby, is still considered by many as one of the best. So this is another reason why this game is so intriguing. I'm extremely happy that I have a copy, and that this is a copy which is quite well preserved, because the quality of the components is really high. I can't say anything bad about what I have seen in the box. The rules, the paragraphs are still in good condition. The same applies to the counters. Sure, some of them were already separated from the counter sheets, but I still have one full counter sheet with the counters in place. Additionally, as this copy came to me from France, I have a French set of rules and even the paragraph booklet. So what to expect more? I'm very happy, I'm very thrilled. Now I'll read the rules and I will play my first game. This is surely not the last presentation of Ambush on my channel. I intend to show you this game in additional movies, because in my opinion this game just deserves it. This was the unboxing of Ambush, published initially in 1983 by Victory Games. Thank you a lot for watching this video. I invite you to take a look at our other movies in English. I invite you also to take a look at our Facebook and Instagram accounts. If you want to support our channel, you can become one of our patrons. Take a look at our Patronite account. I wish you a very good week and a very good day, and see you next time.